I'm going to show you now how to make the dish, as I'll call it, which is where we will put our back in and for our top for that curve. If I hold it up like this, I'll just grab the straight edge and we're going to create that curve in this piece of wood that's below me, like that, and also like that, which is the arch in your back. To do that, get yourself a piece of chipboard or some other material, and what I've done is I've drawn out the shape. I haven't actually cut the shape out because I need to hang on to it on the bench. I've made some reference points here down both sides for my depth. Now all these measurements that I'm talking about now, and even the depth that I'm going to be going, will all be available on the DVD, on the PDF that you'll get with the DVD, so don't worry. So I'm just really showing you the technique, how to do it. I'll talk about the measurements as I go, but this is just really how you actually dish that out and how you start. So you've got your blank bit of wood, you've drawn the shape, you've marked some reference points, and definitely make sure you've got a good straight edge, because what you're going to be doing as we dip this out is putting that on and checking with that. I'm going to use this one here on my left to check, but I say all these measurements that I'll be doing will be available. To start off with, I'm going to clamp to the bench here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now this is one job too, just watch the skin on your knuckles because it's very hard to get started. Probably the hardest part of doing this is just the initial starting. So say you've got a flat piece of timber and you've got to make that dip, which around the centre part here is about 6 mil. So this board that I've got is about 15 mil deep, so it's got plenty of depth there. Now it's a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen a bulldozer out in the farm build a dam, and how they start in one spot and start digging quite deeply into one spot and then move out to the outer edges of the actual dam. That's the only way I can describe how to do this. So what I'm going to be doing is starting pretty much in the centre waist area, and I'll start almost like I'm digging, trying to just get a little bit of a gouge into the timber, and then I'm going to be working to the outer edges around there. I'll spin it round and do the back, but the most important area will be just this centre part to start with. I've got a plane, I've got a spoke shave that I'll use, I've got a scraper, again whatever you feel comfortable using. I'm probably going to use all three of these things, and as well a sanding block with a bit of sandpaper. Your hand again is going to be your best friend as far as feeling for any inconsistencies in what you're doing. So as we go along, I'm going to be running my hand across the top of the board, just checking, using this straight edge, again checking visually, even by eye you'll be able to see if you've taken out too much on one side, not enough on the other. So I'll start with this and see how we go. Now I'm pushing quite firmly in that spot there, starting to create a dip, and I reckon I've got about 1/4 mil, so we're really on the way. Now I've got a good mill there already. So I've started to create, up here, still dead flat, back here, still dead flat. I might just hold that up to the camera and show you. And you can see how I've started to create this dip. Whereas up here, still flat. Now I'm using the little plane now, getting a bit more off. Just feeling it with my hand. And I'm going across nice and even, which is what I want. So if you can keep it even early on in doing this, you won't have too many problems trying to even it out later. That's good. So you can see this particular curve. It's about 6 mil, so I've got a way to go. I'm about 2 mil down, so you can see I'm working further and further out to the outer edges, and I've really started to create a dip in the middle there, which is fantastic. That's 5 mil on this one, and this is 3, so I've got a couple more millimetres just to go on that middle part. Now you can see I'm really starting to lengthen my strokes with the plane, trying to start to really go out. I've made my little dip in here, like I say, and I'm really starting to work out towards these outer edges. Once you've got close to the depth that you want, you can give it a bit of a sand. You'll get a really smooth finish using the scraper. And as I say, I'm checking with my hand, and you'll feel it. If there's a little lump or something sitting up, you'll feel it. So do all those checks as you're going. As I say, all the measurements will be available with the DVD about depth, all this positioning down the sides where you have to use for reference points. So I'm just feeling with my hand. And that's starting to feel really good. I've got one here that I've done, that I've pre-done, so that's what you'll finish with. I've got a centre line, I've got marked where the braces are actually going to be sitting, so that's for your back, and as I say, that's got the biggest dip. I'm going to put my straight edge on it. You can see that's quite a severe dip there. And then I would check it that way. And because I've got one already made, what I'm actually doing is just checking it against the one that I've already had, that I've had like for years, and I would just visually look at it that way, hold it up, and then use that line there, that reference point line there, with the reference point that I've put on this one here. And I would just go from there to there. I mean, you won't have to do that because I say all the measurements will be written. But again, your eye will tell you if it's even or uneven. And when you do the top, it's a lot easier because the dip in the top is nowhere near the dip in the back. I'll just show you that. Very little there. So start with the back. It's the biggest job. I say that because after you've done the back, you'll be pretty tired. And then do the front.